Hello everyone, it is I, Mark Major, here at the Action Figuratorium, real big toy collector, studio owner here in Southeast Portland. Today is going to be something a little bit different. Today I'm going to be doing a sort of book review, specifically this book. This is the big toy box at Sears, 1951 to 1969. This is probably one of the greatest coffee table books you could own. And if you are a real big toy collector like myself, this is pure gold. You can sift through this thing endlessly and discover more and more stuff all the time. Today I'm going to be going through it a little bit with you. I've got some pages marked here, and I'm just going to kind of show you some of the different toys that were available to kids in the 50s and 60s, and a few of them are pretty cool, and some are kind of shocking. And so we're just going to take a look at a few today here on the Action Figuratorium. So everybody, you know, strap on the leather, hold on tight. All right, so we are going to go over to the bench, and let me just move the camera so that you'll be able to know that I am, even though you'll see my hands, I am in the frame standing there. No need to panic, people. Okay, here we go. Let's switch over. And we have got the, there we go. We got the book right there. Again, it's called the Big Toy Box at Sears. This is the new 1997 edition. I don't know if they've done any changes to it since then. And I also don't know if there is a 1970 to something else, but that would be interesting to read as well. So let's flip through some of the things in this book. By the way, I want to let you know that there is, there's no foreword. There's no commentary, there's no kind of setup. They just took basically all of the kids section of toys in the Christmas catalog that Sears would mail out, and they just reprinted it all in one book. That's exactly what this is, and it's pretty amazing. Most of it in the beginning is black and white. It begins to become color towards the end. So that's kind of interesting in itself, but here we go. I've got some things that I've simply bookmarked for us to check out. Now there are, let me frame this up. Take me a second to figure out. I'm looking at a screen while looking at a screen while looking at a screen. Okay, there we go. That's, I know it's like an idiot working a catalog. Okay, so this page here, this is very, very early 50s. This would have been 51 or 52. There's a lot of play sets, people, in this book. Here's an old West town with a boardwalk. This looks amazing. You've got stagecoaches, cowboys, Indians. Then this weird space academy. They keep redoing this weird space set over and over again. Here's a Roy Roger ranch. And here's a super circus, so that's pretty awesome. And let's move on to flip a couple gears to some more play sets. Check out this Alamo play set and look at all the figures you get with it. By the way, the prices on these things are like $4 to $7 for these play sets. And then down here, I don't know if you guys can really see this. This is Walt Disney's Frontierland logs. These are not Lincoln logs. These are Walt Disney Frontierland logs, which sounds like a copy of Lincoln logs. Let's skip ahead. Okay, this page. Here's what's interesting about this. Look at all the guns they used to give kids, and specifically look at this gun, pump action, but look at this like sniper scope on it. That's pretty badass. Now in this book there are a lot of model trains. There's a lot of cars, model cars, metal metal friction cars, wind-up cars, but there's a lot of trains. Let's flip ahead. I love play sets. We'll look at some more here. We've got a lot of cowboys and Indians in here. It was real popular in the 50s. We're still in the 50s, by the way. Here's this really cool cowboy fort. And here's a Revolutionary War set. Here's a bunch of dinosaurs. This is pretty cool. Here is a medieval castle set and figures. Very, very awesome. Sometimes there's cool stuff on the back. Oh, look at this. There's a cool gas station. Gas stations are cool. And of course, they always got these kind of like construct a skyscraper sets for kids. Okay, now look at this. Something big in the 50s were cowboy shows and cowboy movies. And they have a whole bunch of Old West guns based upon what characters in the shows wore as props. There's from Restless Gun, that was a show. Have Gun Will Travel. Fastest Gun in the West, Stagecoach. These are all either movies or shows. Of course, Roy Rogers was real popular in the 50s. More play sets on the back. They love this fort. It came back every year for a while. Okay, let's go to here. Now look at this. We're actually going to look up one of these on eBay too, by the way. Look at this Ben-Hur set, right? You get Roman columns, like a little pavilion. You get some tents. There's all sorts of like a fountain. Statues, of course, chariots, horses, Romans. This is pretty badass. This would be worth owning today. I wish someone, well, I guess Boss Fight Studio does something kind of like it. All right, moving along. More guns. On this page, what I wanted to point out was, look at this gun. It's a machine gun with tripod. You can't really get that kind of stuff today anymore. They don't really make that kind of stuff as far as I can tell. Maybe, nah, the Nerf stuff, not really. All right, Fort Apache, Cape Canaveral. They keep coming up with this like weird sort of space agency playset for kids. I don't understand it. And then I love this, the Alaska Frontier, and it's got little 3 igloos. $379 for this, by the way. It's a 100-piece set. $379. More castles, more ranches. Really love these old play sets. Wish I had all of them. Okay, here is a big giant barn and wagon trail, Turnpike Plaza, a Roy Rogers Ranch again. Okay, here's what I wanted to point out on this page, the Flintstones set. There was a Flintstones play set and you got little figures for it. That would be pretty awesome. And there's the service garage again in black and white. We saw it in color a year back. Came back the next Christmas. Quite a few of these service garages here. And flip to another one of these. Build the Big Inch. So this is interesting. It's a bunch of construction guys, right? But I'm going to claim, okay, I'm going to claim that these are prison inmates who are making 50 cents an hour, who are forced to go out and build California roads. Here's a famous Army Man set. There was a set that came out a little bit later, I think in the 70s. It was Guns of Navarone, and there was an Iwo Jima one. It had a big, giant, huge rock that had cannons in it and a door. I actually had one of each of those. Those were amazing. And these were the exact Army men that came with it. All this stuff here came with those play sets. I had all these guys. They've been making these for 20, 30 years. Probably still making them. Probably the last time anything was made in America. Okay, this is pretty cool. Hand-painted miniature figures. We're now coming into the 60s here. And Charge of the Light Brigade. This is pretty interesting. Sands of Iwo Jima. I don't see the big giant play set, but I see all the figures. 20 Minutes to Berlin. Now this is really small. You guys can't see this, but this might actually be a red flag with a white circle and a swastika in it. It's positioned in such a way so that you can't see it, but that might have come with it. And that's like you get to, it's an old burned out building, office building, the Reichstag or something. You get to attack it, which is funny because they've got like the American flag, and the Americans were not allowed in World War II into Berlin. Believe it or not, they had to stay on the side of I believe it was the Elbe River, while the Soviets lay siege to the city. Battle of Vikings and Knights up there. Castles look pretty cool. And there's always, found on the opposite page, there's always something, yeah, there's even more play sets. Look at this, the Desert Fox set's just a big, huge tank battle in the desert. It's pretty awesome. All right, now let's get into the 12-inch G.I. Joes. You were probably wondering if they're going to be in here. They're in here. We've got, this is actually kind of like Action Man. At this point, he's not necessarily quite the G.I. Joe brand. It does say G.I. Joe, but he was sort of Action Man. He was a man of action. And sadly in black and white, but you can see this is the first appearance in the Sears catalog, by the way, of the G.I. Joe guys. And this is what they look like. This is what you got. It was all about these accessories. It's kind of like what they did with dolls. And this is interesting. This is the first time in here that we see James Bond. James Bond actually figures quite a bit in this catalog. I see a lot of James Bond stuff. This is cool. It's a slot car, right? These little slots cars go around. You get to drive your Aston Martin around and shoot at each other. I think that's a lot of fun. This is interesting. For one, they're selling a record player, but they actually have the Beatles in there. That's a terrible photo of the Beatles. It's early Beatles. It's like Beatles 62, 63. Dion is in here, the Four Seasons. Herman's Hermits. Peter Noon was the singer of the Herman's Hermits. I ran camera at a casino at one of his shows. Very talented, funny guy. Here we have the Munsters, so you know we're in the mid-60s. Of course, we're going to start seeing Batman pretty soon. Porky Pig. This is interesting. Universal Monsters. They can, you get these little molds and you can cast your own monsters with it. So they probably sold the monsters for a while and now they're selling the molds. I think that was a smart move. Flip the page. More James Bond. A lot of James Bond. There's a lot of James Bond on this page. Perhaps too much James Bond. Yeah, you get boats, cars, figures, all sorts of characters. James Bond dressed up as Indiana Jones. Temple of Doom. Joke, went the other way around. More G.I. Joe guys. And of course, Marx. It's a company that also did sort of 12, 13-inch cowboys. Occasionally military figures, scuba guys. More G.I. Joe. They added a G.I. Joe skier. I think if it sells. More James Bond. Lost in Space. We're really starting to get into, towards the end of the 60s, we're getting into a lot of electronic gizmos and whatnot. Batmobile, of course, in here. Tonka is in here. At this point, we start to see Hot Wheels come onto the scene. They weren't in some of the earlier ones. Here we go. It's the last thing I've got to show folks is the Summer Fun Family Camper. Look at this weird space age kind of like, it looks like a food cart. This is actually what the food carts in Portland look like. This is pretty cool, little van, and you get like a thing to raise it up so you can work on it. But that is my quick passing through some of the more interesting things in the big toy box at Sears. So one of the toy sets that we looked at in the book was that Ben-Hur set. I think it would behoove us to look it up on eBay. I think, I don't remember the exact price in the catalog. I think it was something like $3.97. Anyways, let's see how much one of these things is going for on eBay right now. There it is, 1959 Mark's Toys Ben-Hur playset, Series 2000, $499. If you look up individual pieces, they go anywhere between $10, $20, $30, $40 each. So pretty incredible dog if you think about it. Anyways, that's it for Monday's video. The book is amazing, of course. If you know somebody who is a real big toy collector, it would make the perfect birthday or Christmas gift. And if you yourself are a real big toy collector, you're going to want to get a copy yourself. Maybe you should ask for it for your birthday or Christmas and let somebody gift it to you. So, thanks to everybody who made it this far in the video. Of course, I always appreciate that. And as always, folks, stay charged.